I realized something today that the Christian apologist's ideology and relationship or argument or opposition to evolution is that something can't come out of nothing. However, that is exactly what the um, Christian theology says, that something came out of nothing, that there was a nothing that became something and then created everything out of nothing. That the stars and the moon and so forth and the earth and so forth were created out of nothing. And then the dust that was available was, well, then all the animals appeared out of nothingness. And then man was something that was special, and God came and created man out of nothingness, of the dirt, and then breathed nothingness into him, which is a metaphorical, downward causal description of what I explained. It's a supernatural. It's one steep within improbabilities, not impossibilities, but improbabilities. The idea that certain things would occur without a cause and effect um, 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 explanation, and that there is no cause and effect explanation for reality. But yes, we'll use cause and effect in order to explain our argument. In order to that cause and effect is something, nothing comes out, that nothing comes out of something, that something doesn't come out of nothing, and that there's a something for everything. Well, that's the anthropic principle, which kind of explains the cause and effect of that. But it doesn't. It explains the cause and effect within the parameters of not just natural selection, but of the intrinsic aspects of nature. It doesn't have to go outside of nature in order to explain this origin story in which something comes out of something. That there was always something prior to the advent of something else, and there were events that took place in relationship to that advent. Even with the Adam and Eve story, people come out of nowhere. The fucking the wives or the wife of Cain, and the people in which Cain had to protect himself from, who were threatened to kill him. Why he had the mark on his head? Why would Cain have to have a mark on his head in relationship to people who, what, his kids were going to kill him? You know, his brothers and sisters were going to kill him. And there's no actual, the literature doesn't even actually, what I'm saying, describe brothers and sisters until after the birth death of Abel and the marriage of Cain. And it doesn't give you you have to go outside of the scriptures to do what they call, what is it? It's um, uh, which led to apocryphas. You have to go outside of the scriptures in order to make certain cause and effect conditions, which makes no sense either. Cause and effect conditions in order to support the assertion or the conclusion that this is how man came into being. So if you're talking about a theory that's baseless, that's just an idea, then that would be Christian Judeo theology. Christian Judeo theology is a theory that is not based in any fact, not grounded in any fact whatsoever. It's all, that's what you would call, what's the word I'm looking for? Assumption. Christian theology is assumption. It's not conclusions, and it doesn't test those conclusions. It accepts those assumptions as being fact, and that any fact that challenges that assumption is the work of the devil, which is the evil mystery spook in relationship to the good mystery spook. The explanation for unexplained good phenomenon versus the explanation for unexplained bad phenomenon, or for any explanation of phenomenon that doesn't include the good explanation of unexplained phenomenon, which it doesn't explain phenomenon. It just kind of it dismisses the phenomenon with God works in mysterious ways, which is all a theory of nothingness. It's a theory that everything comes out of nothingness. There's no cause and effect, because that's the something. The cause and effect is the something that results in a particular condition or outcome, circumstances, or situations or so forth. That's that is the something that is always responsible for something else. So there's if you want to talk about a concept of nothing coming out of something coming out of nothing, then that would be the Christian theology. I mean, Judeo-Christian theology, or monophysite versus diophysite, because the North American tradition is just not the North American tradition. The Saudi Arabian tradition is just a monophysite Judeo-Christian viewpoint. It's taking on the thinking of the people of the book, which the Quran warns an individual about. Now, you're supposed to water yourself 365, by way of the Quran. So that's a part of the teachings in relationship to the North American tradition, which is reality. You know what I'm saying? That's a realistic viewpoint of reconnecting to nature. Because that's what religion really actually means. It means to reconnect. Now, we've taken that word and made it really colloquial to where it means to bind. And it does mean to bind. It's like legion. A legion is meant to, bind individuals or bind things together. Things that are unbinded, you need to rebind them. So that's a religion, a religion. So religion is a method of rebinding something that is unbinded. We are unbinded from that and from nature, so we need to be rebinded to nature. So therefore, man needs a religion in order to rebind him to reality. We are disconnected from reality. We have created a subjective reality in which is disconnected from the objective reality. And that's what the religion I'm speaking about does. In relationship to its theology science, its basic religion, which is reality, what it is that you need to reconnect to, and the deity that stems from it, nature. Nature is a deity that it stems from. Nature is a deity in which reality stems from. And then the need to and the means to reconnect to that, or the theology or the dogma needed to reconnect to that reality, and the deity responsible for it is called science. It's the gnosis. And again, I'll keep on kicking why Gnosticism is a far more accurate religion than the Judeo-Christian viewpoint, which is more so the religion of Satan, if you want to use that word. The devil, or the bad guy, is the Judeo-Christian, because it takes you away from reality, and it results in a psychotic state of mind. Psychoses are developed from Christian belief systems, or Judeo-Christian belief systems. Even the Jews, the so-called Jews, have moved back from the antiquated Jewish or Judeo-Christian belief system, or Judeo aspect of the Judeo-Christian religion, where they don't see God as the same way as they saw God 2,000 years ago. They've evolved their perception of God in relationship to new information. That's something that the Saudi Arabian Muslims haven't done. And that's something that, the West hasn't done, or Judeo-Christianity hasn't done. I was reading somewhere where where Christianity had developed a 2.0. And really it has, in relationship to the fact that it has to deal with, and that Islam or the Saudi Arabian tradition needed to develop its own 2.0. And it really has, in relationship to the fact that there is a society that's dominated by technology. And that, therefore, Christianity had to adapt to a society dominated by technology. And that's not the case in the Middle East. It's not a society dominated by technology. It's a society dominated by dogma. And that's indicative in the state of their social structures, of their society. And it's also kind of, our society is Western society is dominated by Judeo-Christian society. Western society is dominated by technology with no real connection to the reality in which that technology stems from. The majority of individuals in the West can't tell you the basis for the technology in which they utilize on a day-to-day basis. You know, it might as well be an invisible guy in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Dictating the mechanics of the quantum realm. Because, you know, as far as everybody's concerned, it's little mice running back and forth. So, or you know, or the atomic realm prior to it. So, you know, I don't know. It seems that the majority of us think that some God who wants to be separate from the science in which he created. Because a lot of Christians will give you know, God the credit for science and for medicine, and say God gave it to us. But then if God gave it to us, why isn't he also giving us the rationale to only think about science within a scientific, you know what I'm saying, perspective, from science from a scientific perspective, or reality from a scientific perspective? If he wanted us to have medicine and so forth, where, you know, it's again, that's a contradictory of imbalance. So that's kind of where I was this morning when I woke up.